every day in your business, um, and every week to grow your business. Um, some of the successes that I have had with the business have been making sure that everyone knows that I am a realtor, telling people that I know, asking for the business from people that I've done business with that did not know how to share my information. And now that we have a KW app, I can share that information. So sometimes when I go places, I'll say, hey, if you're interested in buying or selling, or if you know anyone who's looking to invest into the business, here's my information. And they'll be like, oh, do you have a business card? And I'll be like, well, I have something a little bit better. It's a free KW app. You just download it. And anywhere you're traveling in the country and you want to see what houses are looking like, what the prices are, you can just open up your KW app, give me your phone number, and I'll send that information to you. So what I'm doing is I end up getting their phone number and asking them, hey, what's your name at the same time? This way I can come back to my database and add it into the system and just tag that it's an unmet person. Um, and I've captured their information wherever I was at, so that I can have some sort of idea of where I have reached out to this particular person. And even if I was in a beauty salon, and I've given it to somebody, I say, hey, I met him at the beauty salon, and so on and so forth. So it gives me some sort of idea. And then I do a little bit more digging. I may go and look and see if they're on Facebook and kind of get more information to add into my database, so that I can start marketing to them later on, especially if I find out they like the particular property, and they inquired back to me through the KW app. So always be mindful of everywhere you're going to let people know that you're in the business. And if you don't want to use your KW app because you're not really familiar with it, that's fine. Start working on learning that app because it's very important. It's a very important tool. But make sure you have your business cards and wear your name tag when you're out in the public. I know that, right now we're dressed down a whole lot. For the first time in about a month, I've done my hair. It's funny. But, still wear your name tag when you are going out. And I surely hope that you all are being safe out there when you do travel. Um, Make sure you're wearing your protective gear when you do go out. So anyway, we're moving on. What we're going to focus on today is lead generating for your buyers and for sellers. Okay, we want to dig in and try to figure out, how are you going to get a buyer? Does anybody have any idea how to get a buyer or a seller?
I,
Oh,
yeah,
Market yourself.
yeah, and I think you just said it. Anywhere you go, if you bump into a stranger or wherever you are, if you strike up a conversation, how are you doing? How's your family? In this current time, that would be the first thing to lead with. And then, hey, my name is Ramona. I'm an agent. And let me put you into my system, or if you know anybody, just exactly what you just said. So they might say, oh yeah, my cousin is going to be graduating from, whatever, or something might be happening, some life changing. So I want to downsize, and I was looking for an agent. So everywhere where you go and everyone you meet, find a way to let them know that you're an agent, and that sparks, even if it's not them, it might be someone they know.
great. And just like Nicole and we're both really into educating ourselves about what's available. So when you have somebody that's graduating from college, it's a prime time for them to buy. They don't even have to be on their job, for 2 years like the average person in order for them to qualify. There are loans out there for graduates. All they need is information coming from their employer about what their job skill is going to be and what their income is going to be. And they can start that job within 30 days of having a little after 30 days of having their first paycheck, they can buy a house, So you need to make sure that you're educating yourself on the different types of financing that's out there available, whether they are first-time home buyers or second-time buyers or investors, knowing what programs are available to them, because saving money is what they want to rely on you for, number one. And number two, um, knowing where there's great deals at, whether buying something, selling something, or they're going to be investing for um, rental property or to flip properties. So always be in the know is what I always say. So once you have gotten your buyer or seller lead, what are you doing once you get their information? What are you doing next? Okay, so what you should be doing is, once you have captured their information, is, like I said, go back to your command and enter their information into the system, so that you can have hands-on information versus it always being on a sheets of paper looking around for those things. And yeah, some people, including myself, I still carry a notebook where I'm writing their information down, so that I can have it. And especially I was doing it in calendars, so that I can, on a calendar, so that I can see what day I actually talked to them. And it will kind of give me some idea of where I was at the time. And then I put it on the calendar in the future to know that I'm calling them back. You can also use Command for that. Command has a task system so that you can remind yourself to call them, send them a text message, send them out some material, whatever the case may be. Furthermore, whenever you are capturing someone's information, if you're able to get an actual address, first of all, for sellers, you are able to have their address. It's in the system. But for buyers or for referral people, it doesn't matter. Get their address. And at the end of the day, when you have finished speaking with them, you're supposed to be sending out note cards daily. Those thank you cards and reminding them of that conversation just a little bit will help them remember who you were at the time that they spoke, and that you remembered the conversation in brief to send out to them, so that they know that you were paying attention to what the conversation was all about. So now, in the future, as you're moving along in the business, 89% of the buyers, according to the National Association of Realtors, they are looking for a realtor to help them buy and sell. 41% of them will come from a referral. As you grow into your business, this number may change a little bit, where you're getting more buyers or sellers from your referral clients versus from just anybody off the street or any marketing that you're probably doing, because you're supposed to be staying in touch with your sphere. You're supposed to be contacting people in your sphere, doing your 36 touch programs that we have. So you want to get involved in learning how to stay in contact with people. And again, going back to Command, it has those resources to help you to do that. 75% of the buyers will interview only one realtor. You need to know your job. You need to know your business. You need to know the information, because if they don't feel like they're comfortable with you giving you their information, they're going to fold up and not want to be bothered with you. So you need to be a one-time person that can get in, give them the information, and then this way you can make sure that you're giving them all of your information on on who you are. So you may want to send a bio about yourself. You may want to do that with them as you're putting them into the system. Okay. So once you have captured them, now you want to start cultivating the lead. You want to be able to track the leads that's coming in, whether they're coming in from your websites, Facebook. When you're doing some sort of leading, you want to be able to capture them and then put them on a drip campaign. And we're going to go through that just briefly on how to add somebody to a drip campaign. You want to also know your campaigns. So we're going to navigate just a little bit on how to go in and add somebody to a campaign. Are y'all ready? Does anybody have any idea how to get into Command?
Yeah, we know how to get in.
Everybody should know how to get into Command.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Okay. Once you have qualified a person with information about asking them, who they are they are A, B, or C client. A is that they're willing to buy right now. They qualify based on their income, their credit. They've gone to the lender. You're going to determine whether they're a buyer that's buying today or if they're a buyer that's buying 3, 6 months or a year later or years later. Then if they just are what we call looky-loos, the C buyers, they're interested, but they're not willing to do what is needed. You need to have that information so that when you put them into the Command system, that you can decide, how and when you're going to be contacting them based on setting them up into that system. Okay. So here you're going to be entering all of their information on this sheet. Unfortunately, we don't have these sheets available to give to you right now. I think that maybe your office is going to be emailing you, but go ahead on and just have a look at this and see briefly, what this sheet is about. Getting their name, their email address, like I said, trying to get their address, their children's names, of course, their telephone numbers. Get the date of birth at least for the client, if not asking too much for the children up front. Because once you put them in the system, you definitely want to send them, make sure you put them on a happy birthday, because once you put them in there, it's automatically going to set out. You don't have to remind yourself to do it. It's going to automatically go out to them. And they're going to think that you thought about them that particular day, but that's not necessarily the case. It just went out. And then, of course, once you have sold them, then you can turn around and set them up on a home anniversary. And every year on that specific day, they'll get a happy anniversary, home anniversary, email to them. And then again, they're going to think that you automatically remember that you sold them that house that particular day, but it's not necessarily the case. So I would like to role play just a little bit for you all, and then we're going to go into the Command system next on how to actually put somebody in there. Or is anybody willing to just ask the question, or be the buyer or be the agent? Anybody? Tonda, I know you're on mute. Anybody? Tonda, you can unmute yourself if you want to participate. Ramona, do you want to participate? Okay. No one wants.
I'll be the buyer. If somebody wants.
Okay. Okay. Go ahead, Ramona. You can be you want to be the buyer and I'll be the agent?
Yes, I'll be the buyer.
Okay, great. Hi, Ramona. This is Trinice with Keller Williams. I was referred to you by Tonda. She gave me information and said that you were interested in buying a house. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. I was thinking about it, but I'm not sure what I should be doing. I'm not sure what to do.
Okay, great. Well, what I'd like to do is just take get some information from you first, and then we'll go through the steps of what you should be doing next. So I do have your first and last name. Is it spelled J or G O F F R E Y?
G.
G. Okay, great. And are you currently residing in the city of New Orleans, or are you in Jefferson Parish?
Actually, neither. I'm in Baton Rouge.
Oh, you're in Baton Rouge. Okay.
Yes.
All right, great. Can I get your mailing address?
My mailing address is 283 Crestview, CRESTVIEW, and that's Baton Rouge 70807.
Okay, great, great. How long have you been living in Baton Rouge?
I've been back about 5 years.
Okay, great. And where are you looking to buy?
Well, I was thinking, well, I'm not really sure. I don't know very much about New Orleans,
Okay.
but I was thinking I'd like to live, I think they call it the, wait, not uptown, by the park,
Audubon
mid
Park?
city, mid city area. What,
Okay, okay,
yeah,
City Park. Okay,
yeah.
great. That's perfectly fine. And will it be just you, or do you have other family members coming with you?
My mom. I live with
Okay,
my mom now, but we're thinking about moving to New Orleans.
okay, okay, great. And so it's just you and your mom, and I'm gonna assume that you may want a guest room. So I'm gonna assume that you're looking for a 3-bedroom house, right?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
that's correct.
Um, do you have to have a 2-bathroom home, or you're okay with a 1.5 or one?
I need to have a two bathroom. I
Okay.
have a thing about people using my bathroom,
It's
so I need
okay. It's
to,
okay.
or
That's okay.
at least one and a half, because it's
Okay.
more the actual using of the bathroom thing.
Okay, great. Two more questions. One, can I get your date of birth?
8/25.
Okay, all right. Birthday's right around the corner in the heat of the year.
Yeah,
Sometime heat,
I know,
outdoor
right?
barbecue, something like that. But
I hope
at
we're
least you'll
able
be able
to
to enjoy
travel by then. I hope we're able to travel by then. I could use a little beach time,
it.
a little cool breeze on the water.
I'm not even worried about traveling. I'll just get in my car and drive. But I truly understand. And the last question is: have you spoken to a loan officer yet?
No, not yet. Again, I didn't really know what I needed to do.
Okay, great. All right, so I'm going to refer you to one of my lenders, and he's going to ask you several questions, or you can do the application online. So I'm going to send you that information via text. Now, I do need one more thing. I'm sorry, I said one more question, but I do need your email address
Okay,
because at the end of this call, I will send you some information versus, not versus, I will send you some information in regards to this conversation that we've had.
okay.
So I would like your email address so that I can send you that information.
Yes, that's fine. It's R Goffrey, Goffrey @gmail.com.
Okay. All right. Sounds great. Thank you so much.
You're
So see how
welcome.
I was able to take her information because I knew my script about what information I wanted to gather from Ramona in order to put her information into the system. And if as time goes on, I'll go back and ask her more questions. And there are more things that I do ask. I just didn't go through all of that just now. And that way I can immediately send her an email of the conversation that we had. Is going to be her and her mother that's going to be moving to New Orleans from Baton Rouge and where she wants to be. I'm going to put all of that information in her email. When I do put it in her email, it's going to automatically go inside of the system of Command. So Command is going to keep those notes as well in regards to the conversation that we had. So I have two systems that are actually keeping up with the conversation so that I don't forget a year from now if we haven't found anything of why the conversation we had before. And even if we did buy something and I go to touch base with her a year from now, I'll say, hey, how was your mom? Because I knew it was just her and her mom that moved into New Orleans from Baton Rouge. How are they adjusting? Because even though Baton Rouge is an hour away from us, it's still two totally different lifestyles. Okay. All right. So now I want to go into, and I'm hoping that I'm going to do this correctly. Now we're going to go into the command system. And if anybody's having any problems with seeing what I see, please send me a text message because this is my first time teaching on this system. I've always been a student, but not been a teacher on here. So when you go into command, if you look on the left-hand side, I'm surely hoping that everyone can see. If somebody can't see what I'm saying, please send me a text message. But I'm sharing this screen. So on command, and then on the left side, you have home, the home screen, contacts, tasks. Remember I said that you can set yourself up for a task to do to contact somebody. On what you need to do, following up with somebody, whatever. And then smart plans. We want to go to smart plans. Okay, so here are the smart plans. Now, these are smart plans that I have already saved where it says people plans. But you can go to the library, and when you go to the library, there are different smart plans available for you to add to your client profiles. You can have multiples. Like I said, you can do the birthday, you can do the home anniversary. And then you can also do long-term nurturing. So Ramona was a new person that I met. She may not be ready to buy today. She may be ready to buy today, but I would set her up on a long-term nurturing so that she would get emails from me. And then it's going to show you what the steps are. Now, because I've already added, well, I didn't add it to a specific person. Here, click the smart plan, apply it, and then it's now going to become, it's already a part of my smart plan now. So if you go back to where I said my smart plan, long-term nurture, here, okay? So now I want to add, I'm just going to use myself. And I'm going to look for my name because the person has to be a contact in here in order for you to add them on to a smart plan. So here on the left side, here's my information here, and on the right side it says smart plan. Add smart plan, and then I want to add long-term nurture. Select it. I can start it today, or I can start it in the future. What I like to do is start it in the future because I don't want them to think I'm doing everything right now. Sometimes some people feel like if you're doing something right now, that later on they can look to contact you right now with questions. So I put it in the future. Usually I'll start someone on the first of the month. But if they have a birthday coming up, not Ramona's, if they have a birthday coming up on April 20th, then I had did a birthday smart plan with them, then of course I'm going to start it on April 20th for them. But other than that, I'll start it on the first of every month. And I try to make that consistent that everything starts on the first of the month. Or whatever date you want to do it. Just kind of make it consistent so you know that if it's a home anniversary, it's on that particular day, birthday's on that particular day. A nurturing is on the first of every month. But if it's something about just what's going on in the market, then I would make that maybe like the 15th of the month. What's going on in the neighborhood, make that like the 15th of the month or something like that. Just having your mind what dates you're going to have everything, these particular campaigns on the same date for everybody so that everybody's getting it at the same time, whatever that smart plan may be, except home anniversary and their birthday or even their actual wedding anniversary. Okay. Are there any questions? I am trying to keep up and see if there are any questions from anybody. No. And I see that we do have more people online on here now. Thank you all for joining in. I see that we have about 15 people participating. Okay, so I'm going to go back to here. So once we have the buyer's information, we're also going to send them a buyer agreement. That buyer agreement is very, very important in protecting yourself in your future business. So you want to read the buyer agreement and know what it means and how it's going to relate to what you're going to deliver to them as your value proposition, VP. And then what they're to expect from you, and then what you're going to expect from them. Because one of the things you want to make sure that you're covering yourself on is sometimes they'll get out there and they'll start riding around in the neighborhoods using the app, and they'll call the agent whose name is on the sign and ask for more detail. Hey, no problem. Well, for the most part, the app is telling them what's going on with the property. But if they're interested in looking at the house, they really want to contact you. And with that app, they're going to send it back to you. Hey, I'm interested in this particular house. I want to see it. And then you're going to respond, because as soon as they click that they're interested, you're going to get that text message or an email, depends on how you have everything set up. And then, if they're going by for sale by owners, that's another thing. If they're going by for sale by owners and they're trying to negotiate, then they want you to come in and help fix negotiations and all of this stuff. Again, remind them that they need to contact you even if they found something that is for sale by owner, and they're wanting to take a look at the property. Sure, you can go ahead and take a look at it. Don't negotiate anything, but give me a call so that I can help you, because I'm here to protect you and your interests. Okay, so once you have gotten, that information out of the way, signing the buyer agreement, you should also be very aware that you need to, if nothing else is signed, make sure you're getting this customer information form signed. It is required by the state of Louisiana that you must disclose your duties to them, okay? And I pretty much, I don't go through the entire thing about it, but what I do explain to them is about here, if you can see this, I hope I can, treat all clients honestly. I go through that. And then anything that's confidential, and I go through that and give an example of what's confidential and things of that sort. And then I get them to sign. Then I proceed on. That information, this particular document is required first. Then your buyer agreement, because you need to disclose who you are and how you're going to be representing them in the future, okay? All right. So once you've gotten your buyer agreement signed with them and your customer information signed and you're moving forward, because again, this is a part of the email system that I send out to my clients, and I get them to sign electronically. They have been made aware that they're going to be getting multiple attachments, links, and so forth. Getting things done, it's a process and it's automatic. That's the way I operate from the beginning, so I don't forget. This comes over time of remembering your steps without having to look at your notes. But again, like I said, I've been in this business for 15 years, so it has become a habit of mine. Okay, do anybody have any ahas right now that they would like to share?
I have a question, Trinice. Back to when you were, I think it was like the buyer lead sheet or something. Is that found in Core, like under the toolkit?
Yes.
Okay. Because I thought I saw it the other day, but I wasn't 100% sure because I was looking for something else. Okay.
Okay. Yes. I didn't know what information you all actually had available to you now, because we usually do this in class versus online. But yes, this is a part of your toolkit.
Okay. Thank you.
Anyone else have any questions? Okay. All right. So again, every time you're speaking with somebody, you're making these calls to your clients, customers until they become your client. If you're making calls to, for sale by owners, or if you're working on expires or withdrawals, previous clients, whatever, you need to remember that you should be every single day. You should be writing 10 thank you note cards and mailing them out every single day, at least Monday through Friday. And if you're not doing 10, do 5. So you get into the habit of doing one more a day. You want to make sure that you're getting out there and that you are previewing homes. Okay. You should be. Unfortunately, right now we're not out previewing that many homes. However, that does not mean you cannot preview. You need to be going online and looking at the homes that's coming on the market in the neighborhoods or in the areas, the cities that you're that you're working in so that you can know what the inventory looks like, so that you can know what's selling, what's the price point, the average price point that they're selling it. You have so much time right now to be working on these things every single day, every single day, every single day. And when I say every single day, Sunday through Saturday. No calls, it's Monday through Friday, but every single day you should be looking because things are selling. So they're coming on the market for sale. They have sold. They're expiring. They've been withdrawn every single day. So you need to know what's going on every single day. Okay. Scripts. So you need to be practicing your scripts. You need to know what to say. Hey, when I first got into business, I remember I thought about this last night, and I was like, I remember standing in front of the mirror and practicing my presentation of the customer information form.
Can you tell Ms. Rita to mute herself?
I'm sorry. Say it again.
Ms. Rita, can you mute her?
Okay. I can't remember where to mute somebody.
Click on that picture.
She did it. She did it. Don't worry about it. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. Because I don't see everybody that's on. Oh, now I see them. Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Okay. I remember standing in front of the mirror and, or even in my car. This is why it's so important for you to know your contracts. You need to know them verbatim, not necessarily verbatim, but section by section, page by page, what the contracts are saying so that you can deliver that information to them and not necessarily have to read the contracts. At one point in the business, it was taking me about 2.5 to 3 hours to actually go over a contract with somebody because I didn't know it paragraph by paragraph or page by page. While you're at home, you should be looking over this information so that you can see and be able to deliver to them what these documents are saying, and that they feel confident and comfortable with just electronically signing with you and moving forward. Of course, they're going to get the documents back, but you kind of want to make it as quick as possible in one sense. But if somebody just signs a contract and you have just sent it to them, you'd be like, hey, wait. Before I move this on, let me call them and say, hey, did you take a look at this contract? So going over your contracts with someone or with yourself and giving yourself objections to what you think the public may say about whatever it is that you're role playing, whether it's going to be your contracts, whether it's going to be the buying process, or whether it's going to be the selling process. You have people that's on here right now that have been in the business or brand new in the business. Get with someone to help you to understand what it is that you're doing. And when you have an error or when you have questions, just write them down. Reach out to one of us and say, hey, look, I have a question about something. I'm not clear on that. It's okay. When you're with a client and you don't have the answers, great. Don't act like you know everything. Come back to one of us and let us help you. That's what we're here for, because I guarantee you, we don't know it all, number one. We didn't know it from the beginning, but we're willing to go out and get the information. Like I said, always be in the know. Go out there and get the information and then come back and ask for help. Okay. So you want to do script and role play, and you can do that for just like 15 minutes with someone, but make sure that you're 15 minutes with someone and then 15 minutes by yourself so that you can begin to process this in your head as to what you want to be doing in the future in your business. Okay, now here's another thing that you must be mindful of is, when you're making calls, there's also a do not call. Yes. There's a website for you to go out there and take a look at that and, want to make sure that you're selling anybody. So get involved in learning where the do not call is at. And somebody may tell you that they're on a do not call list, and hey, that's fine. Even though they told you that they're on a do not call, did they hang up on you? If they didn't hang up on you and they say, hey, I'm on a do not call list, but I'm still interested, great. Make sure when you send them that note card, You say, I'm sorry that, something to this effect, I'm sorry that I called you, you're on the do not call list, I overlooked it, whatever, but I do appreciate you taking out the time and not hanging up in my face. Thank you so much for the opportunity, whatever it is. You never know what's going to happen. They can send a referral to you, or they can call you back because they appreciated how you handled the situation. So you want to be mindful of that as well. Okay, now we normally are supposed to go through a lead generation time where we're going to be calling and doing scripts. But unfortunately, we're not face to face and able to do this. And also, you know, to make actual phone calls. But at the end of this, I'm surely hoping that you are going to make your phone calls. You know, today, like I said, a lot of us are staying at home. So it's a great time for you to be contacting your family, your friends, or someone that you've done business with. Give them a call, and, you know, you could say it's a care call. You know, you're just trying to find out, you know, are they okay? Their family okay? Because someone hasn't been talked to from someone outside of their family and would probably love to hear from you. This is also a great time to update your contacts, um, maybe putting them on a smart plan if you have not put them on a smart plan before. So it's a great way of doing that. And you want to do that, you know, like I said, even if it's just for an hour, fill your day every single day with something to do in your business to help grow your business. Okay. Anybody have any questions on any of that? Okay, contract practice. I just wanted to briefly go over your contracts. I've already gone over about your customer information form. In the contract information, one of my key things that I have a pet peeve of is, okay, they've put the address into the MLS. Let me tell you something. I have found that someone has put in the wrong address to a property, not a wrong address in regards to that's the wrong house, not necessarily that. But let's say it was 123 Main Street. Well, actually, there is a main street and there's a main avenue. You want to make sure that you have the correct one. So what I also do is I don't take the information that's inside of the, I'm gonna open up one more tab because I just thought about this. I don't take everything verbatim that they put into the MLS and go with that. So I'll add this address, and then see here, they don't even have the legal description. I better not never see one of y'all listings, because I do look at everything that comes on the market from the West Bank office. And if you don't have the legal description, which is right here, I will send you an email. I will sometimes, especially if I like you, and I like everybody. So go over here and get this information. I don't copy all of this information, but I do capture this. And I copy it, and then I put it inside of the MLS. That's number one. That's in the MLS for me. But when I'm writing the offer, I go in here and I capture this information and put this on my contract. And I do that because some people don't have the correct information in there, and they go to an active sale and they don't have all of their, they don't know what property they've bought. I did a deal, well, I attempted to do a deal some years ago. I think it's probably about a good 10 years now. And it was a property here up here in Washington Parish, and the property was landlocked and we could not move forward. And the legal description according to that property was key in us finding that it was a landlocked property and could not move forward. We waited for like 2.5 months to try to get it resolved. I don't know if it ever got resolved, but the attorneys and everybody had to get involved in that. So you want to make sure you have the actual legal description of the property in here. This is, 10 through 19 is also key. Things that are staying with the property, things that you think should stay with the property is not necessarily mean it's going to stay with the property. So that's why they provide these extra lines here. Make sure that if it's plugged in and not actually attached, you need to add that information. The range oven is not attached, it's plugged in. It's still considered personal property. You need to add that the range oven needs to be added to that. When you're talking about the price, you need to make sure that you're spelling out versus just the number, because the number does not hold in the court of law. It needs to be spelled out that it's $100,000, okay? Because somebody has accidentally here in the buyer finance, and they said that the sellers are to assist with closing costs not to not to exceed 6% of the closing costs. So if the closing cost was $10,000, then they only had to pay 6% is $600, because they did not write it correctly. You need to make sure that you're paying attention to what you're writing in these contracts, because you're representing the buyer. And because of that, and we had issues on when I had this to happen to me, I was on the seller side, and I was trying to find a way for my seller to get out of this deal. That's what I found. She put 6% of the closing costs instead of 6% of the sales price to help them with their closing costs. And we had plumbing problems. So my seller's cost was going to be too much in order for them to sell the house. So we were able to get out of the contract based on that information, because it wasn't going to be enough money for the buyer to buy, because her cost for closing was going to add up, that the seller was only going to be giving her $600 instead of like $6,000. So be careful when you're writing your contracts, and knowing, what their interest rate is going to be. And at times like these, the interest rates are fluctuating. Today they could be qualified at 3.5%, but then when they find a house a month from now, the interest rate's at 4.25%. So make sure, when you're on your buyer side, you want to make sure that, hey, I don't want the interest rate not to exceed 3.5%. You want to make sure that you're covering information, knowing about your appraisal, knowing about your deposits, and where they're going to be held at. If it's going to be held with a third party, you need to do a third party addendum, how the deposits can be returned to them, who's in breach, who can be in breach. You want to make sure that you're covering these things with your clients on what they should and should not do, and protect yourself with communication, whether it's via text or email. Making sure that you do, if there's anything else that you need to add, if there's no flood insurance on the property, because it may be an investor, here is where I will go in and ask for a flood elevation certificate to be provided within 5 days, 7 days, because you can get an elevation certificate back in like 3 days. Just contact the right person. If anybody needs a person to add into the database for that, I do have somebody, and his turnaround time for everything is usually like 3 to 4 days. The max he's done for me has been 3 days. And it's great because I make sure that I have all of my clients' numbers within my 10-day inspection period. I try to be fair to the seller as well, that if we're going to walk away from the deal, that we're going to do it within the 10 days and not 20, 30 days because things didn't work out. Now, things that do happen, especially in times like this, things do happen. So we just want to be mindful of those things. And again, if you're doing the third party addendum, you want to check that, and just know your contract. Timing. If your contract expires and you've sent the contract to the buyer, this contract expires, whether it's a initial offer, a counter offer, inspection period, make sure you're mindful of your time, because if you do not, you will get caught and you will have a problem. I just wanted to cover that information with everyone.
Can you share that flood elevation contact, please?
Yes, if you can text me at 975-4892, I can send you his information. Okay. Now, when you're in Command and you're in Connect, Keller Williams is one of the great reasons why I'm still with KW. He's always been given us tools, and Command is absolutely awesome. So in Command, you can go here and start working in that. Start looking at every single thing. If you're not doing that, shame on you, because you should be, even if you just started yesterday. Get into Command and learn it. Get into Connect. There's so many different webinars. There's so many PowerPoint presentations. There's all kind of tools that's available to you to help you learn the business. You will never be bored with all the information that Keller Williams has to offer. Now, you can get overwhelmed, but you will not be bored. And there's always help. So if you have any questions, there's a help button that you can use to connect with someone to help you. And if you go to Facebook, LabCorp, Command, there are people that's in here that have done videos, and then they'll send you to their YouTube video to, help you, whether you're ready to do it today or tomorrow. And you can reach out to Nicole, send her a text. She has a flood of emails and texts to share. She really does. All right, so you want to make sure that you have a successful day. Sorry about that. And to do so, you want to prioritize what you're going to do each single day, every single day. Make sure your time block. Hey, I'm going to get on. Well, I get on Matrix several times a day. I get on there first thing in the morning to see what expired, in the middle of the day to see what has come on the market, at the end of the day to see what has expired. What has been withdrawn by 5 o'clock. And then I'll get on it again sometime that night, just because, sometimes some people will, they'll either physically expire something or they will manually withdraw something that night. So I'm looking at it all the time so that I can know what's going on. If you're going to send 2 or 3 thank you note cards out to somebody, or just a note card to somebody, write this down so that you know what you're going to be doing every single day, like I said, Monday through Friday. Now, we do have this code here, so you can do this SurveyMonkey. If you have this available to you on your phone, you can do this survey to help you to tell us how we did with our class on today. Does anybody have any questions?
Trinice, your flood elevation guy, is it SZS? Because I put mine in. Or just someone else?
Is it who?
SZS Consultants.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
No, his name is I don't know what his actual name, what his name of his company is, but he's Mr. Lester in my phone. I'd have to go to one of his emails that he sent me, which will have what's the name of the company. But the phone number is 985-285-9099.
Can you repeat it?
985-285-9099.
Okay, we put it in the chat so everybody had.
Okay. Anybody have any questions about anything else? Anyone
Yes,
want
ma'am.
to?
I have one question. I'm sorry about the flood elevation. So if you've already made an offer and the contract gets accepted, is it too late to go ahead and get that flood elevation certificate?
Well, that's a good question, because one of the things, what I would do in your case is, in my inspection period, I would request for that during my inspection period, because my standard is in my first 10 days is that I've gotten all my numbers to my clients, I've done my inspections, and I make sure that if there was a flood elevation, I did write it in the contract. So if you wrote it in your contract, I would go ahead. I'm sorry, if you didn't write it in your contract, I would go ahead on and um, send to send the agent a request with the inspection response that you need a flood elevation certificate. Send that out, and then I would maybe extend my inspection period. I just never done that before. I don't know how I would fix that.
Uh,
Uh,
Suggestion here. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Trinice. Um, she can check what the flood zone is for that property and also check with the current owners to find out if they have one or if they have a flood policy on it. Try to do it before, you spent any money on inspections, so you'll know, where you're going with it. You don't want your buyer to spend money unnecessarily.
right, exactly.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And in Jefferson Parish, if there, I would have to send Katie, I guess, the link. You can fill out a form for Jefferson Parish and request for the flood elevation certificate if they have one on file, and they'll send it back to you for free via email. If they have to print it, it's $5. If you have to go to there's 2 locations, one on Maple Street in Harvey, and then the other one is the Unit Building in Jefferson or Amber rather. But yeah, I would do that. I would get that information up front. Ask the agent, hopefully when you take a listing, you're getting the flood deck page and providing it to the people, or the elevation certificate, providing it to the public, because it's one less thing that you have to go back and forth with. So if not, then go back and ask the agent, do they have a flood deck, if they have flood insurance. But if they don't have flood insurance, especially if it's a flip property, those investors, they don't, ask them for them to purchase it, because technically the elevation is for that particular property that they're selling, and they should have it. Because if the flood insurance come back and it's too high for your client and you pay for a survey, what you gonna do with it? There's nothing you can do with it, because now you done spent $250 on an elevation certificate that you can't do anything with it, on that particular property. You can't move forward because it's putting you out of your ratios to qualify to buy the house. Whether they put you out of the qualifying for the house or not, you may not want to pay that kind of money for flood insurance.
Well,
okay.
Also, when you're working with sellers, if they are in a flood zone and they know that their flood is high, they don't have an elevation certificate, it might be a good suggestion to them that they get it, because as you said, the buyer doesn't have any need for that. And if they, why would they spend $250 for your property if it's going to come back and they're not going to buy the house. So I always, when you have a property that's in a flood zone, just make sure, the buyer, the seller and the agent are working together to get some information that will be useful to the buyers that are coming to look at it.
Right. So any more questions on finding buyers? Besides, I'd like to go into this a little bit more. I wanted to make sure I covered all of the material. Let's go into where you can find buyers. Can someone give me some ideas of where you can find a buyer?
Online, Facebook.
Online on Facebook? Great.
Your sphere of influence.
Yes. Explain to them what sphere of influence is, Deidre.
Okay, by now everybody should know from day one from Ignite, but if you haven't, what your sphere of influence is the people that you talk to on a regular basis. It's everybody that's in your telephone. Look at your telephone system. Everybody that's in your telephone system is your sphere of influence, whether it's family, close friends, colleagues, your kids' parents at your children's school. It's people that you talk to that know you. It's people that if they call you, they respect you enough to want to use you or refer you.
Okay. Anywhere else? So some people are paying for Zillow leads. And that it can be a good tool, resource tool. If you're paying for Zillow leads, you're getting their information. You have their phone number, you have their email address. Some of them, I mean, I've paid for Zillow leads and they didn't have their email address, and I'd be like, hey, look, I know you want this information, but I still need your email address. And so what I do is I take all of their information and I put it into command, and I state where I got them and which property they were interested in, whether they continue to be a client of mine or not. I still put them in there and I put them on a campaign. Or I may put, or that I will put them into the matrix system so that they can see all of the properties that's coming up in that price point or in that area that they're looking in. And then there's also RedX. RedX has buyer leads, seller leads, people who are inquiring about things. RedX is a system that you can use to call expired withdrawals. FSBOs, you can use their system. It is a fee. You want to look into that if you're interested in that. I am sure that right now, with everything going on, they have some sort of discounted program so that you can get involved. It is a cost, of course, to get involved into those different things, but you can use your free resources, which is your database, the information that's in your phone, your neighbors. Don't be a secret agent in your own neighborhood. You don't know. That is one horrible feeling when you drive in your neighborhood and you see somebody put their house up for sale next door. You didn't let them know that you were in the business, or they knew you were in the business and they still didn't use you. And sometimes it's okay. I mean, I'm in a business and I didn't use a lender that I do send my clients to. I didn't use them to, do my loan because I like to keep things separate. I don't want certain people in my business, and that's fine. And don't be offended when you find out that your family or your friends didn't want to use you because they just didn't want you in your business for whatever reason is. Don't be offended. Still send them a congratulations that they bought their house. And then they might have forgotten. You may not have given them a reason why they should use you for their business. It happens. Don't get upset. Don't take things so personal. There's enough business for everybody out here. Again, I go back to stay in the know of what's available so that you can get that information out to your public so that they can use you or send a friend, their children, a family member to you in the future. And post that information on Facebook. Reach out to your clients, your friends on Facebook. If you've been in the business, go back to your clients that you've sold houses to. Right now we know that, this, with everything going on right now, I started reaching out to my clients and I was like, hey, if you're having some problems, with your job, you lost your income, contact your mortgage company. They have programs right now where they're basically suspending people from making their monthly payments. That don't mean that the payment is not going to be due. It's just whatever agreement they come up with so that you can start, getting back on task. Because some people would just say, I'm not making that phone call. I'm not making that phone call. I'm not making that phone call. Not making a phone call, not communicating with people is not going to help them in their situation, nor help them in the future to be able to communicate with them so that they can get back on task and become more favorable versus, hey, look, they just kicked me to the curb. They didn't want to deal with me. I'm not going to deal with them to try to help them with saving their house. So reaching out to people, is going to be really, really key. And that's why, with Keller Williams, they're teaching us how to get out there and be proactive with our past clients to, know what they need to do in the future as we're going through this situation. Any more questions? No one else? Okay. All right. I think that is basically it. I think I've covered every single thing. If anybody has any questions, again, my phone number is 975-4892, 504 area code. My email address is trenice2@kw.com, TREMACE, the number 2 @kw.com.
Can I put in a request, Trinice,
Sure.
or another session on like the Section 8 housing and the whole process?
What question do you have about it?
Well, a client that I have, they have 2 duplexes that they're accepting Section 8, and like I've never dealt directly with it, but I just know that some of the people who are contacting me about wanting some of the properties, I think the offices were closed for a couple of weeks, and they're having problems getting certain forms that the owner needs to fill out. So I just want to kind of familiarize myself a little more with the entire process.
Well, unfortunately, I'm not really sure as far as the forms and the, some of those things, because you have to be in the middle of something to find out what's actually going on with that process. But if you have a person that's interested in renting a property, some things that I, even as recently in the last year, I've learned that have really changed with the system is somebody has a voucher, and the voucher comes in and says it's a 3-bedroom voucher for $1,300. Okay, that they qualify for $1,300. Okay, and they find a 4-bedroom house, and it's $1,300. Well, $1,300. Well, they're still going to go off of that 3-bedroom voucher, and they're going to, again, this is Jefferson Parish. I'm not familiar with Orleans. I have stayed away from Orleans. It's too complicated because it's too long of a process. I can't really say what their process is. I just know about Jefferson Parish. So when you have a person that's qualified with a voucher that says $1,300, when you submit the documentations and it goes back to housing, they're going to take that information, put it in together, and then they're going to send out for the inspector to come and inspect the property. Once the inspector passes the property, it goes back. It's taken what it was before everything going on now. It was taking 24 to 48 hours for all that information to be uploaded into their system, and then they were coming back and saying, "Hey, all right, now this has passed. The tenant qualifies. Okay, the voucher said $1,300, but based on their income and the fact that they have to pay lights, gas, water, they only qualify for $1,200. So now you have a decision as to whether or not you're going to move forward and accept that $1,200 versus $1,300. Okay, so if you accepted an application and a deposit for $1,300 and they can only do $1,200, yes, you can still keep the deposit at $1,300, but now you're going to get only $1,200 from a mixture between housing and the tenant. $1,200 is the max, and you cannot accept anything more as a side transaction from that tenant. It's $1,200. So if they're supposed to pay $100 of that $1,200, that's it. Okay. If you're going to move forward with that, then your lease must state that the deposit is $1,300, the rent is $1,200, and then I specifically go into further, what the portion is as today, what their portion of rent is, because that can change. 6 months later, they can come back and say, okay, now that this person, you're still going to get $1,200, but now instead of them paying the tenant paying $100, now they're going to pay $200, and you'll get that the owner will get that communication stating where the changes have been made. But if you're not willing to accept, then that means you have to get that $1,300 deposit back. So you collect it, don't cash it, don't do anything with it until everything has been executed. And then once things are executed, then you give back. If he's not going to move forward, give him back the deposit. If you are going to move forward, then you move forward with setting up payment arrangements.
And if I can add something, Trinice, Orleans Parish and Jefferson Parish, if they say the rent is $1,200, you cannot legally charge that person an extra whatever you wanted. You have to be $1,200.
Yeah, that's what I just said.
I think
Tommy was about to say something.
Parish too.
Yeah, I know you and I talked, like I had a couple of people who were approved for, like, say their voucher said a 3-bedroom for $1,200, but the property that I have is a 2-bedroom, doesn't that price adjust based on the number of rooms the actual property has, or are they still able to get $1,200 for a 2-bedroom?
No, they're gonna pay based on what a 2-bedroom is.
Okay, that's what I thought. I just wanted to be sure. Okay, thank you.
And
Well,
with the Orleans Parish, the process works pretty much the same as it does in Jefferson. Also, I have some clients, we were finishing up a Section 8 approval when this started. And if you leave a message on the mainline number, if you have the worker's number, they will call you back. Or if you have an email, they have been emailing us back. And well, we finished everything, but just to know that it's not totally shut down. You can still communicate with them and get responses.
I know in Jefferson Parish, there's just a main number. There's no direct number to the worker. You leave a number in the system, whatever. It goes to that person. And Jefferson Parish does ask for a client ID. We don't have a client ID. The people who have taken over housing for Jefferson Parish are out of California, and they may have IDs for their clients out there, and it's just a main system. That's the way they have it set up across the United States. That's fine, but we don't have a client ID. So just leave the name of the tenant or the potential tenant and the address, because it was on their paperwork when they submitted it to housing, and they could pull that information up. And you have somebody that may call you and they'll say, hey, I have this information, but I have 2 people with the same name, pretty much. Can you give me a little bit more detail? It's very rare that happens, and I have not, which is great. The new system, they're pretty friendly. They're really nice and they're very helpful. I've been dealing with under the new system now for like 3 years now, and they've been very, very helpful. So if you tell me that you all are having problems, I'm gonna have to question if it's you, because I've come across a lot of people with that.
Orleans has gotten a little bit more user-friendly as well. It used to take, with the initial, once the application was submitted, it would take maybe a couple of weeks. Now you're getting a call within maybe a couple of days or within the first week that they are doing an inspection, and it's usually that day. It's very, like, you'll get the inspection, they'll let you know what's wrong, you fix it, and it's online. You fix it, you let them know you have it fixed, and they come back within 24 to 48 hours. So the process has been speeding along a little bit better. And that's been
one of the reasons why I walked away from working with New Orleans was, okay, I had something, and this has been a long time because I haven't done any more since. You have an inspection, it failed, and they'll send somebody different, and then it fails again. That was so aggravating. You're supposed to be coming back to look at this one thing. Now you're re-inspecting the entire property again, and now it's failing. And now it's too many different people in this crossing, and I feel like you're giving me the runaround because y'all are not on the same page. And what I like in Jefferson Parish was whoever went out the first time is the same person that's coming out the second time, and they're looking at the same thing. That doesn't mean that things can't happen. They can come up to the house and the front door lock was correct, and now the seller has gone in and changed the way the locking system is, and they caught that, and now they want that to be fixed because it's not the correct locking system. That's understandable. But when you come in and you say, hey, I was checking to make sure that all of the smoke detectors are working, because they can't change the batteries. But if you have batteries, if you're going to be on the listing side, carry batteries, because you will fail. Carry those batteries, put them in your car, put them in there. Now, as far as the line, I can't help you with that part. But if you can carry, and the inspectors, they may get up there and they'll put it in there for you so that they can pass, so they don't have to come back. I was feeling like in New Orleans, they get paid for every time they come back and forth. That's what I was feeling. That's why I didn't want to do it anymore. Maybe I'll get into it again, but I don't know. I just don't want to. When somebody, Stephanie, when you come back and tell me that it's running smooth like Jefferson Parish, then I may be interested.
Okay. It has gotten better. They now have a specific company that does the inspections, and that's why it's happening. There's a quicker turnaround.
Great. Good. They hired it outsourced. They outsourced that. Great. Thank you so much. Anybody else have any other questions? All right. So who will be sending out at least 3 note cards today and contacted at least 5? I didn't say 10, 5 people. And who's going to preview 5 homes and send me a text message and say, hey, I took a look at a property and I know what the houses are selling for in this neighborhood. Just in the neighborhood, just send me a little text and say that you're doing it. That's just being proactive for yourself. Now, you can tell me that you're doing this all day long. But if you're not doing it for yourself, you're hurting yourself. You're not hurting me. I just want you to be proactive as much as possible in your business and knowing what you need to do in your business. Anybody else?
So Trinice, what is the 10 for? What should they be doing every day?
See that darn Nicole?
She did say,
I think they should be contacting 10 people a day, sending 10 note cards a day, previewing
10 properties or
10
5
properties
properties.
a day. And what's the 4th one that I always forget?
Adding 10 people to command to your database.
10 people to command. Hey, I got 3 out of 4.
I think you did great.
You did a good job, really.
Great. Anybody else? Somebody had a beautiful background. I don't know who that was. I saw somebody. Oh, Joan. Joan has
Oh,
a beautiful
yeah.
background.
Great
There
job.
it is. All right. Anybody else?
Oh, good.
All right, great. Thank you all so much for allowing me.
Denise.
I was a bit
Thank you,
nervous a
Shanice.
little bit. I'm sorry,
It doesn't
Ramona.
seem like it.
I said thank you.
Real
But,
quick, everybody.
I was nervous a little bit. Nicole and I did go over this on yesterday, and I did tell Katie that there were 2 things that I was adding, which was the agency disclosure and the contracts I wanted to go over, because I think these things are very, very important. Your property disclosure is another thing. You know, I could look over a property disclosure and I could say, if I look at property disclosure and I say, hey, it's clean, it's good, we're moving forward, I could just glance over that. But if I see where there's check marks that should be somewhere else, I'm gonna call the agent and say, hey, your client didn't fill this information out. Can you provide me with more details on why is there a yes here? Up here, I'm questioning because I wrote an offer on a mobile home, my first time moving forward on the mobile home, and I've had to reach out to like 3 different people. And of course, they're more familiar with these things here on the North Shore than I am. So I'm learning how to fill out these contracts and this additional paperwork. It ended up being 2 or 3 more documents that I had to add to the file that I'm not used to doing. And then there's something else that I have to do for the lender regarding that particular mobile home. So I'm asking people who have not been in the business as long as I have been, but it's because it's something that I haven't done. I don't have a problem with asking. Tell me, what do I need to do? Now, I'm not going to go to the listing agent because she's representing her client and may not tell me, but I'm going to, and actually it's an agent in my office. I'm going to someone else and I'm not telling them whose deal I'm writing, on, because I want to make sure that they're guiding me correctly with what I'm looking for. And yes, I ended up turning to 2 people. I turned to the office broker and I turned to an agent so that I make sure that everybody's saying the same thing. Because, again, in this business is trial and error. I'd rather have you more trials than errors. So when y'all have questions, please, please, please give us a call, send us a text message. We want to hear from you. We want you to not fail and grow your business. This is a beautiful business to be in. We're just a little timid right now with everything that's going on. I'm not going to tell that lie because it's so shaky with what's going on in this country. But I just want to leave y'all with this one thing. Joan, go ahead and say it because I'm going to say what I have to say and cut off.
I just had a question. Do you recommend putting together an electronic buyer packet? I know that you went over the buyer representation agreement, the customer information form. So is that something that we should just prepare to have to be able to send?
Okay, so let me, can you tell me if you still can see my screen? I need to make sure y'all can still see my screen.
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay, great. So here, when I'm talking to my client, depending on where they're going, I have all of these different things for the buyers, what I'm going to send to them. Yes. If they're doing a 100% loan, which is a rural development direct, which is straight through USDA, I will send them the single family direct form. I'll send them the 502 pre-application. I will send them, they'll definitely get the ASAP guide. They will get the, I will send in, if they're buying a property and the agent does not have a lead-based paint, sometimes people will do that. If they're buying a property that has, I'm sorry, I said that wrong. Even if they're buying a property and it does have a lead-based form in here, I also send the packet into the loop or DocuSign, and they have to sign, state whether they read it or not. They have to electronically sign that I sent them that pamphlet and that packet so that they know exactly what in detail, and they can't come back and say, oh, all she did was send me the form. She didn't send me any information. I send that out to them. So I'll send out to the client the questionnaire. If they're not doing any of these things, then I'll send them the ASAP guide, a questionnaire. I don't go over the questionnaire with them per se. I do the Ford system. I'm going to ask them about their family. I'm going to ask them about their occupation. I'm going to ask them what they like to lay and what is their dream. When I get into their dream, mostly everybody wants 10 out of 10. It's not going to happen. If you get 7 out of 10, you have won. That is my conversation. When you have hit 8, this is the second house. When you have hit 9 and 10, you built the house. And if it was a 10, it's because you were rich and you built the house from ground up. That's the way I explain it to people, because I don't want nobody to think that they're going to get their dream home the first time they buy. Granted, when I first bought my house, that first home that was my dream. I had my bedroom in the back of the house. The kitchen was in the back of the house, so that when I'm in the kitchen, even though I'm not too much of a cook, doesn't matter, I can watch my kids play in the backyard. That was my dream, was just seeing my kids play in the backyard. Why was it a dream for me about the backyard? Because unfortunately, when I was growing up, after I turned, I think 8, 9 years old, my daddy started adding on, and he had junk in the backyard. So I didn't get to play in the backyard. So I wanted that for my children. So that's what I did. I went off of my experience and to try to help my clients to see what will be reality for them. So those were my experiences, and I try to use your own experience in your day-to-day, whether you're renting a house or buying a house. It doesn't matter. You've done a transaction, or you've been involved, or you've had a conversation with one of us. Use one of our stories if that's the case. Just know the story.
I appreciate
the story.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So I want to leave you all with this. Just know that everything that is going on, I am, especially since, what happened with Nicole, I'm sure everybody knows. I was praying, but I wasn't praying a fervent prayer. Daily, about everybody. I was thinking about everybody and whatever, everything that's going on with what's going on in the country. Good or bad people, it doesn't matter. I just want you all to know that I'm praying for each and every last one of you all to be safe, that your family is safe, and I will be sending prayers over KW, again, the West Bank family. And you all have a great, I think today is Wednesday, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Trinice.
You're welcome.
This was great. You did awesome. Hey, everybody. 10 a.m. tomorrow. Find seller leads with Bonita Watson. I hope to see you there. Thank y'all so much. Y'all are awesome. Have a good day.
Thank you, Trinice.
Well, take
Bye.
care.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Everybody stay safe.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you, Trinice.
Bye, guys.
You're welcome.
You did awesome.
All right. Did that.